Okay, thanks everyone for joining. This is Cassie. She has worked in information security since 2017. She works in governance, risk, and compliance in New York City. She recently founded Gate Breachers, which promotes gender inclusivity in cybersecurity. And this talk is based on real-life events. Thanks so much, Cassie.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Cassie, and today I'm going to be talking to you about using OSINT to catch an online predator. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. My name is Cassie Brunetto. My Twitter handle is Loquacious Loca backwards. For those of you that do not know how to pronounce it, I cannot pronounce it either. I am the founder of Gate Breachers. Our mission is to promote gender inclusivity and cybersecurity. We reach out to people and we perform resume reviews, interview preparations, and we also provide resources to students. I currently work in governance, risk, and compliance at an international bank, and some of my interests include participating in Trace Labs OSINT Capture the Flags, traveling, and sneakers. So if you'd like to come and talk to me about sneakers, which I am 100% qualified to do, please feel free to do so. Before I get started, I just wanted to note that there is no personally identifiable information in this presentation. I will be referring to everybody by their handles. Please do not ask any questions regarding the identities of those involved in this investigation after the talk. Thank you very much. With that being said, let's get into it. What are Sauk accounts? For those of you that don't know what Sauk accounts are or what they're used for, Sauk accounts come from sock puppets. These can be used for both intelligence gathering, like law enforcement or other investigations by PIs, or they can also be used for nefarious purposes, including spreading disinformation campaigns and amplification. So if you want to spread an agenda, you're going to have followers, which you can make, as much as you need. You can automate this. You can create accounts to support what you're saying and spread whatever disinformation campaign that you, as an attacker, would be trying to accomplish. Why do attackers create Sauk accounts? The Sauk account creation will play a big role in the pretext. What is a pretext, you ask? A pretext is a background. The character that you are going to be using when you're using the Sauk account is going to have an age, an ethnicity, a location, and maybe even hobbies. In this investigation, it was seen that the Sauk account was being utilized by what appears to be a female working in the information security industry. Before you create the Sauk account, an attacker will create an email address that will not be associated with their identity. They will also create a my pseudo phone number, again, so that they cannot be tied back to the Sauk account. You'll also generate a Sauk photo for the Sauk account. You can use thispersondoesnotexist.com. The image on the left is a person that was generated using thispersondoesnotexist.com. You don't want to use stock photos because anybody can simply reverse image Google search the photo and come to the conclusion that they're being followed by a Sauk account. So this will be a big giveaway and you'll often be blocked, which will completely diminish the objective of what you're trying to achieve. Often using non-InfoSec friends with low social media presence are great for getting life context pictures so that you cannot be identified as using the Sauk account. You can also try following as an attacker accounts local to the target. So if I'm going to pretend that I'm in New York City as an attacker, I might follow some restaurants or some weather stations in New York City to give it a believable effect. OPSEC. As an attacker, these are some things that you might do in order to maintain low visibility and not blow your cover. So in order to remain anonymous, you will use your Sauk account through a VPN or the Tor. You'll use the my pseudo phone number that we just created for MFA so that you cannot be tied back to the account. and you will want to be brief and vague in your social media posts to avoid potential language correlation and inference. If you follow your targets directly, this can be a big red flag if you're just creating your Sauk account, because it will be very obvious that you have no following and no activity. So we'll get to the next part of maintaining your Sauk account. Cultivation, otherwise known as marination. This is the stage where you would season your meat, so to speak, but not so much to overpower and ruin it and blow your cover. In this stage, the Sauk account user will create the Sauk account and legitimize it. This can be done by using Follow Friday list inclusion, retweets, and interactions that support the Sauk narrative. Sauk accounts will engage in low-level activity, follow their target on social media, and attempt to infiltrate target's communities or social circles. They will also try to create a rapport with the target and/or the target's community. They will leverage their network to try and legitimize their account as much as possible to stay undercover. The InfoSec Slut investigation. This investigation started as it was noticed that the InfoSec Slut account started following women in the InfoSec community. It was observed that the InfoSec Slut then engaged with women in the InfoSec community. The InfoSec Slut account began pushing an agenda that fit the account owner DarkSim905's narrative. Badass Bowden identified anecdotal similarities between DarkSim905 and the InfoSec Slut. This is what triggered the investigation and what led to the correlation between DarkSim905 and the InfoSec Slut account. Additional evidence. After Badass Bowden's thorough investigation, it was also noted that the InfoSec Slut account was engaging with other members of the InfoSec community. They were infiltrating the community, choosing targets, pushing an agenda by trivializing others' experiences and normalizing abusive and toxic behavior. In this screenshot, you can see that InfoSec Slut is discouraging women from calling the police. This is normalizing behavior because as a woman, you are going to talk to other women and encourage them not to take steps in order to persecute or identify a predator. Catching an online predator. After Badass Bowden notified the affected party, a password reset attempt was initiated for Twitter by using the InfoSec Slut handle. After that, a masked email was displayed with the masked email address including in@gmail.com. It was inferred that this email address was infosexslut@gmail.com. Then a password reset was initiated to the Gmail account infosexslut@gmail.com. After this password reset was initiated, the name of the device used by InfoSec Slut was displayed, DarkSim905 XL2. This ultimately led to the identification of DarkSim905 as being the account holder for InfoSec Slut. InfoSec Slut came into the community and tried to tell women that their experiences were trivial and that unless they felt that they were in immediate danger, they should not be calling the police or getting other people involved. Much like DarkSim was involved in a scandal where he was called out by another member of the InfoSec community. As you can see, people will manipulate others in order to support their narrative. And they'll often victimize themselves and trivialize very abusive and manipulative behaviors. Now, if you think you're being followed by a Sauk account, Here are some quick tips that you can use to identify a Sauk account, especially if you believe that it's a stalker, an ex, or another abuser in your life. The picture on the right appears to be an average woman, but if we look closer, we can see some details that are a giveaway. This image was generated by thispersondoesnotexist.com. Let's take a look at her earring. It appears to be a diamond stud when you are looking far away. But as we zoom into the picture, we can see that this earring does not appear to be symmetrical. And there appears to be a person in the background with almost a cartoonish black paint on what appears to be their head. This is definitely a fake picture. And if you see a picture online of a person where it's very close in their face, pay attention to their facial details, including their earlobes, their teeth, and any other details that are indicative of a Sauk account using an AI or machine learning generated picture. The account creation date can also be an indicator of a Sauk account being used. If you're being followed by an account that was recently created that has no activity, or the activity includes language that is similar to an adversary, these could be indicators that you are being followed by a Sauk account. Things that you can look for that are not infallible, however, are grammatical errors, similar spelling, and punctuation. But again, take caution because this could be a disinformation campaign and this person might appear to be pretending to be someone else so that they will be able to put the blame and have a scapegoat. Some more tips that you can use when you're trying to identify Sauk accounts. Oftentimes, attackers will slip up. Humans are the most vulnerable when it comes to information security, and they will forget to turn off the find by email or phone feature on social media. So what we did here to show you an example of what you can do is we searched a phone number that we knew of a person, and it came up that they had multiple Twitter accounts. So we initiated a password reset, and we can confirm that this phone number, in fact, was attached to the identified Sauk account. These are some tips if you believe that you're being targeted by an online predator. I would collect time-stamped interactions that can show a timeline of events. This is important, especially if you're going to law enforcement, because it's important to create a paper trail. You want to show tweets, emails, texts, even communications through third parties. All of these small details will paint a very big picture of the things and actions that are taking place. It is also important to take into consideration your physical safety if the person is in close proximity. You want to make sure that you're using security cameras, and you also want to pay attention to the locks on your doors in your house, especially if the person that you believe could be stalking you is familiar with lock picking techniques. Some other things that you want to take into consideration are sending them a letter and telling them specifically that you would not want them to be in communication with you, making it clear what will not be tolerated and considered harassment if they're trying to contact you, if they have other people that are trying to contact you on their behalf, or if they're asking other people to contact you in order to put your safety at risk by getting your location, by getting places that you're trying to go. All of these things you want to be very cognizant of if you believe that someone is stalking you or that you have somebody that is trying to hurt you. And now I will open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions, please feel free.
Thanks so much for that, Cassie. Yeah, we had a question here. They said, someone said they have a friend who moderates a very large gaming Discord server and they deal with predatory activity sometimes. Any resources you can recommend that might help them?
So I would honestly say that you should be very open to people that you know have connections, and that whisper network, as unimportant as it may seem, it can definitely help you identifying these behaviors, because one person might be going through something and they might experience it and not talk about it, and other people might be going through similar things. So I think if you talk about it or reach out to somebody, you know, even if it's one person, those people might know people. Make sure that these people are being held accountable for their actions, and it's not just swept under the rug. Because people will often say that, you know, this is just social awkwardness, when it's not social awkwardness. It's calculated, it's premeditated. Especially if you see it documented online. You know, the internet is forever, and things that people say, you know, can be used and will be used against them in a court of law. So if you see somebody engaging in behavior, if there's moderators, you know, whoever's running the website, you know, if you're running things responsibly, you should definitely have some code of conduct there. And I would hope that it would be inclusive of language being used and any threats of physical harm or anything. So, and if there's not, you know, be that change to say, why are we accepting this? Why are we allowing people to speak about other human beings this way? You know, people are not, you know, replaceable. These aren't inanimate objects. They have feelings. These are, you know, these are things that can affect their lives and create, and, you know, emotional and mental damage. So, you know, if you can and you see something, say something seriously, because it's not something that's going to go away on its own. It has to be addressed, and people have to be held accountable.
All right, great. Another question that we had was, so you mentioned the password reset to identify a sock puppet, and there are folks who are looking for, do you have any other tips, anything else that might help identify a sock puppet specifically?
So in this investigation, I can say that there were a few things that were said by the Sauk account that were, these terms were used by Darksim 905. So I think, you know, as language can be fallible, again, there's disinformation campaigns, but pay attention to who they're following, what they're saying, how they're saying it, what they're liking, just to kind of get an idea of, okay, what is this person's ideologies? Is this somebody that could be a threat to me? Are they liking things where they're talking about, you know, doing abusive things or participating in abusive behavior? I see these things on Reddit all the time. And if maybe you can find somebody on Reddit and you know, maybe attribute things that they're saying on Twitter, or just kind of correlate things that you're seeing on different platforms, I think that's really important, because, you know, these people aren't just on Twitter or Reddit or Facebook. They're on 4chan. You know, they're in group chats. They're everywhere. So I think it's important to really look at the context, and it takes work, it takes time, but to understand, you know, what exactly it is they're trying to achieve and what they're trying to accomplish. I think that can tell a lot about a Sauk account. Just when I know in my personal experience, I'll look through, you know, people following me, and I'll look really, you know, what are they tweeting, what are they liking, what are they retweeting, who are they engaging with, who are they following again. So I think if you kind of look at the context, and again, you know, we all know, you know, if there's maybe somebody who has something against us or is looking to achieve something. So I can't speak for everybody, but, you know, knowing those things in tangents with all looking at, you know, who it is that's following you or what they're saying, I think can paint a better picture. And then you can go about identifying them at that point and trying to do a password reset and trying to call their phone number. There's an app that you can use to call people without their phone ringing, so you can hear their voicemail. So things like that, I would recommend doing after you've definitely looked at the accounts that are following you and what they're tweeting and liking.
All right, thanks for that. Do you have any experience against the emotional or psychological harassment? So they're asking about any legal defenses, if you have any pro tips around that.
Right. So definitely check out your state laws and your local laws, because I know in New Jersey, when I went to get a restraining order, you cannot have a restraining order against somebody that you were not in a relationship with, that you were not living with, or who you do not have a child with. So my course of action, was dependent upon my scenario and the local laws and regulations. So like I said, I created a paper trail. I sent a letter. And I stated, do not contact me, do not interact with me on social media, at conferences, do not contact people that I know, do not send me gifts. I put a lot of things in there because I wanted to make it very clear that this is what I will not accept as, you trying to reach out to me, and it will be considered harassment, and I will continue to file charges against you until this stops. So I would definitely say, like, making that paper trail, filing for harassment even at first, and if you can get proof that they're stalking you, try to get the restraining order or the protective order, so that you can protect your physical safety if they're in close proximity to you.